And we are live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Undead 3XVI, and welcome to the Gaming Perspective Podcast, episode 25. We have the usual suspects here on the panel. Eric Jackson is off for the night, spending time with his family, so wish him the best. So I'll introduce the regular casting crew. We've got Mr. Samuel Tolbert from the Inner Circle Games Network.
Hey guys, how's it going? I know we've had a little rough schedule over the past couple of weeks, but we're back. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and the Spidey spoiler cast is still coming. I swear. It really is going to happen.
Yeah, we'll actually have an announcement for that at the end of this show, actually. And my other co-host, Jared, from the Inner Circle Games Network.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Let's get talking. Got some great topics tonight. I'm excited.
Yeah, so since it's been a week or two since we've convened, I think it's been a week, or we did an episode last week. I can't remember. My memory not so good. We're going to just briefly go over what we've been playing over the past week or two. So we'll start with Sam.
So I've been playing a few different things. Mainly, the vast majority, the lion's share of what I've been playing is actually the original Red Dead Redemption. That's what I've been pouring most of my time into. And guys, I gotta tell you, it looks good on the Xbox One X.
It does.
It really, really does. Jared, have you played it on there? Have you?
I played a little bit on there, not a whole lot. I need to get back in and finish it because I'm a quarter of the I'm very close to finishing it, so I got to get it done before the second one comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too long of a game. It really isn't. It's
No.
I haven't had a lot of time to play. I should have prefaced this with that as well, okay? Because I've only put 18 hours into it in this playthrough, but that's what I've mostly been playing. I've been very busy over the last couple of weeks, but It's good. I mean, the texture work, the details and the cloth and everything else that Rockstar put in, it's like people are only just now realizing, oh wow, how good it looks, because the detail can now be seen. You can now realize the work that was put in on there. And given the fact that, behind the scenes, Red Dead, Rockstar is on record as saying that Red Dead Redemption's code is a mess and that it's not going to get a PC release or a remaster because of that. This is probably the closest thing we'll ever get to a polished port or a polished, remaster. So I'm happy with it. It's really good. And every time I play it, it's only continuing to get better, and I love it. And I cannot wait for the sequel. Or the prequel that is titled as the sequel.
Yeah, that's true. I was just gonna say, it's pretty astounding for the level of quality that it is. Even to today's standards for when it first released. Damn, they really did a damn good job.
Yeah, I was gonna say Red Dead Redemption was. I remember that back on 360. I played that on. It was astounding back then, the amount of detail that was in that game. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to hit that into a whole different ballpark from what we've seen. Jared, what have you been playing past week or two?
Oh, Sam definitely knows what I've been playing. I've been playing basically nothing but Destiny 2 Forsaken, and I have been loving every single minute of it. The grind is great. It's back, baby. It's back, and I'm happy.
It's good. It's good. And I should mention, I wasn't going to say anything because it was Jared's moment, but I have been playing a good chunk of Destiny 2 with him and with Eric. We've been putting some time in that. We finished the Forsaken campaign. I give it one thumbs up, or two thumbs up, rather, I should say. It's good. It's really good. If you were like me and you were sort of burned twice, first by the original Destiny, but then by Destiny 2's first post-launch content, I really encourage you to jump back in there and give it a go. It's good. It's really good now.
Yes. I agree.
I'm kicking all y'all to the Iron Lords podcast. I'm not going to have any Destiny 2 good things on this podcast.
Don't worry, you'll convert one day, bud. One day.
I've got it installed on my console. I just haven't.
You're going to play. You're going to play. I got a character. You know what? I got 2 extra characters. I can save one just for when you start playing, and we can play together and level up.
I've got to dive into it, but there's so much dropping right now. I feel like Destiny's gonna be something I get into in December, because there's not a huge amount of games that I want in December. So I feel like once I get through Red Dead Redemption 2, Fallout 76, and Hitman, and never mind, I'm never going to get through all that.
I was just going to say, are you sure you're going to be done in December?
I have faith. I have faith.
Maybe by late January if you're careful. And if not, well, then late January we'll start everything back over and it's going to clobber you even worse.
Exactly, because you know what? After January comes February, and February 22nd, the Reckoning Day of the 4-day game release.
It starts in January because Resident Evil 2, the remake, is coming out late January.
That's true.
So it's going to start there, and then the collaboration begins. It's sort of like they give you a black eye, but then in February they're just going to knock you out. You know, that's how it's looking right now.
And it's looking like it's going to keep going straight up until E3 and even until post E3. Seriously, like it's kind of nuts for game releases right now, but that's good for gamers because we really don't have any reason to complain about anything right now for any type of game. You got everything we want right now.
There's such a wide variety.
It's insane, especially coming out over the next 6 months easily. So, it's great. Great time to be a gamer.
Yeah. What have I been playing? I don't play video games. Mainly I've been alternating between playing PUBG. I got the Spider-Man Platinum last week or early last week. I got that. Been dabbling in a little bit Yakuza 0. Gonna get that done eventually because I've got all the Yakuza games here, but I haven't played all of them. So I gotta keep diving through that. I started the original Shenmue because I was gifted the remasters.
Very nice.
I started that. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of jank to that game. It is.
It's like one of those things. Okay, so full disclosure, I never played the originals. I never did. Okay, but even with that in mind, it struck me as one of those things that people have serious nostalgia filters for. It really did.
Man, I'm gonna share a little bit of this. I don't want to really sit on this too long, but super annoying for me is I did the intro, I did like the basics, and it was great. And then I had to go into town and try to find information. So I went into town, but the cutscene didn't queue, didn't click. So I spent like an hour walking around the town asking the same people the same questions, going, why isn't this working? I ended up having to look up a walkthrough, and then they're like, oh, this person's supposed to come out of their house and talk to you. And that never happened. So I had to restart the game, redo that first part of the game. And then on that time, it queued the proper cutscene that I needed. I was like, this is annoying. I still want to keep pushing because it's one of those classic games, but I have a feeling if it continues being buggy, I'll end up dropping it faster than not. And I'm playing a indie game on PC right now called Not Tonight, which is a point-and-click game. It's interesting. It's very similar to a game called Papers, Please, if anyone's ever seen or heard about that game. This game's done by Panic Barn. They've done probably not too many games people would know. They did Tiki Taki Soccer, World Soccer, and Peck It Up. This game is about post-Brexit England, and you're a bouncer, and your parents weren't born in England. You can choose your backstory or whatever, but the basic story is since your parents were foreign, you're not technically British, so you're treated as like a subhuman immigrant by the ruling power, so to speak, and you have to be a bouncer at clubs, so you have to do there's like a process of checking IDs and yada yada. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward game, but there's also choices and decisions and puzzles that you have to solve along the way. It's really, really interesting. Super addicted to it right now. But it's really interesting because it's got multiple endings too, based on the decisions you make. So Really interested to dive more into that. Going to try again to review up for that later this week. But that's pretty much all I've been playing. So we'll dive into the meat and potatoes of this week. And it's been a weird week news-wise. And we're going to start off with the first piece of kind of weird news, and that's Sean Layden on the PlayStation Blogcast. I don't want to use the word cancel because technically they never announced it. But basically, Sean Layden was quoted saying that for 2018, I know this is going to be a disappointment to some people who decide not to hold the PlayStation Experience this year. This is in effect to the North American one because Sam will correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they had one in Asia a month or two ago.
Yeah, but it's not really. It's not the same thing. It's sort of like the fact that the old XO, which we'll talk about that, was technically held in Canada from 2007 to 2010, but it wasn't anything near what the original thing was. Yeah. You know, it's a similar situation.
Yeah. So basically, PSX in North America, it's usually held in Anaheim, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Anaheim, that's correct.
So it's not happening this year. Now, the writing was kind of on the wall for this because usually they announce this during the summer, usually around July, August timeframe. That way fans could snag up their PSX tickets, plan their flights, hotels, and everything else. And we were pushing, mid-September, and we hadn't really heard anything. So personally, I wasn't surprised that PSX was canceled. Before we dive into the reasons why PSX was canceled, what do you guys think? Do you think it's a big deal the PSX is canceled or not? We'll start with Sam.
This is okay. So phrasing it like that makes it sound like we've only got two extremes, when I think a middle of the road approach might be a little bit more reasonable here, Nick. But basically, I would say it's not the end of the world. It's not a super big deal. Like, it's okay. It's fine. It's to be expected. I totally expected it as of a few weeks ago. I was quoted as saying PSX isn't going to happen, and a lot of people made fun of me for it, but it's okay. However, I do think it's telling. I think it's very telling that they're like, look, what would be the point? Because let's cut through the corporate PR speak. That's what they're saying, right? Mm-hmm. What would the point of holding a show be? And I respect Sean for being very blunt about it, the way he said it. It wasn't very corporate or very PR speak, the way he said it. But, like, what are they going to show? They don't want to show the exact same games over again, yet again, if they don't have something new. And I'll be honest, I think that we've seen every game announced in terms of exclusives that's going to happen for the PS4. Every PS4 exclusive, bar a little indie cropping up here or there, that is going to happen, has been announced. We're in the end game here. That's all there is to it. We're seeing the end of this gen, even though Nintendo's playing by their own rules for Microsoft and Sony. We're seeing the end of the generation, and the reality is Sony has these big games that they still need to get out. Dreams has been in development for how long? Mm-hmm. Days Gone. Sony Bend hasn't released a console game this gen. In fact, they actually haven't released a game this gen at all, if we're not counting the Vita. Okay? What else here? They're waiting on Last of Us Part 2. They're waiting on Ghost of Tsushima. They're waiting on, of course, Death Stranding. And so, while one of them or two of them might end up as PS5 cross-gen titles, that's not a discussion I want to have right now. They need to get these PS4 games out of the way. So I would tell everyone, in terms of shows, temper your expectations for next year. Honestly, I think they'll have another E3, and that's probably going to be it. It really is. I think we know what games there are. At this point, it's just the release dates. And they don't need to hold a conference just for release dates. So that's my take on it.
Eric?
Well, Sam said it pretty good, honestly. I kind of were in the same thoughts as to where we've kind of basically seen everything they've had to offer. Why have a show, put on a show to do what they kind of did last year? And fans said, well, we didn't like that. We wanted more. We wanted games and stuff like that. Well, we don't really have games to show you. We can give you a technical showcase. No, we don't want that. Okay. So if they didn't like that last year, what makes them want to do the same thing again this year? Like, what's the point? Might as well just cancel it, save the money, wait down the road till next E3, do what you need to do there, and have at it. I mean, it just makes sense. That's all.
Yeah, I definitely think people's PSX last year, especially since Sony, like, to their credit, last year, before they when they announced PSX last year, and they were like, this is going to be completely different than we did in previous years. Nobody listened.
Yeah, they warned people. Yeah. It was not their fault.
No,
they were 100% clear with their messaging. And that's something I'll always give Sony credit for, is the fact that their messaging is usually pretty crystal clear, or you have a pretty generally a good idea of what's going on. Thing is there's a quote from Sean Layden that really really pushed it. He also talked later on about having to, it was a decision that they had to come to because there wasn't enough stuff, that they didn't want to rehash it. Basically, they didn't want to get the same criticism that Microsoft got Gamescom, not last Gamescom, but the Gamescom before, where it's just
2017, which was bad.
2017 Gamescom, which was, the thumb drive of all the E3 trailers, right?
Except they slipped the one for Jurassic Park in there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, we saw what main Sony studios are working on at E3. Tokyo Game Show showed off more of what the Japanese branch of what their third-party exclusivities are going to look like things like Judge Eyes and more along those veins. Like, we saw some of those at Tokyo Game Show. And we saw more of, like, games people really are hyped for, not necessarily PlayStation exclusive games like Sekiro and things like that. And we saw more of those games. So at PSX, I feel like, because PSX is only 6 months after E3.
Well, it's pretty much 6 months. It's June to December, so almost exactly 6 months.
So it's basically 6 months. And expecting every studio to come out with brand new, interesting gameplay or trailers in 6 months that show a lot more than the ones that were shown at E3. And let's face it, they did deep dives at, I put that in quotations, at E3 2017 or 2018. And they showed a lot of their games, right? You got what was it, like 10, 15 minutes of The Last of Us Part 2?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, so we got like 10, 15 minutes of, like, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding had like 10 minutes of gameplay. We saw more of Death Stranding at Tokyo Game Show as well. I say very, very brief trailers. So we've kind of seen a lot of what they have, and the only thing that's really left is finalized trailers and release windows and dates. So if those aren't ready to go in December at this point, I completely understand them canceling it, but I don't have a good feeling about PSX coming back, because Sean Layden even went on to say in the PlayStation blogcast that they were using social media and blogs to more push information to their consumer base, which makes me feel like the way he was putting it is that they don't feel like they need to do PSX again. I'm hope I'm wrong, because for PSX, for me personally, I wanted to go this year. I couldn't have pulled it out of the hat this year anyway, but I wanted to go earlier in the year. And a lot of people I know, there's tons of guys that I know, like PlayStation Bra, a bunch of people that love going to PSX because it's all about the fans, right? It's the ultimate fan service. You get to meet the developers behind your favorite games. But a lot of times you got to get hands-on with some of these great PlayStation games and everything else. It was really more about the fans than showing off new things.
Right, but then the problem is, and I warned people at the time that this was going to happen. They revealed The Last of Us Part 2 at PSX 2016, and that has skewed people's perceptions greatly.
Yeah, I could see that.
because that was really out of the ballpark in terms of the kinds of stuff that they would do for PSX.
Yeah, and now you got people thinking, oh, maybe they'll do it again. They can do it again. Oh, they didn't do it again. Now I got my expectations up on my own, and now I'm disappointed, and now I'm upset at PlayStation because it didn't meet my expectations that I set for myself.
Yeah, and see, at the end of the day, that's kind of the thing. Is like you gotta keep your expectations in check, realistically. Same thing I always say with things like I'm gonna use Inside Xbox as an example. Inside Xbox, if you're not an Xbox fan, there is no reason you'll ever want to watch that show.
Agreed.
Because it's basically fan service and updates on what Xbox is doing with either their first party games or what's coming to the system, or them trying to highlight smaller indie titles or anything along those lines. If you don't own an Xbox, Inside Xbox isn't going to make you buy an Xbox. And going in with that expectation is just ludicrous. It's the same thing with PSX. PSX to me was always about the fans. If PlayStation showed off some cool stuff at PSX, awesome. It's always great to see new stuff. But for me, PSX was always more about their fan base and allowing their fan base to come together, enjoy the things they love, and just have a good time. Kind of the same thing that Xbox Fan Fest is at E3. So you get a bunch of passionate people about the product or the company and their games and what they've done over the years, and get them all together, and they get to have a good time, play some games, merchandise, meet developers, that kind of thing. And it's just kind of sad to see it gone. I'm hoping next year it'll come back, but I'm not feeling optimistic.
I would say that now here's the thing, dude. I definitely think it'll come back in 2020.
Oh, when they start pitching PS5.
Yeah, exactly. Once PS5 is out, because Sony will do a dedicated event. They always do dedicated events for their hardware. They did it for the PS4. They did it for the PS4 Pro. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do a dedicated event. I would say, if I'm going to make a prediction, February 2020 for the PS5. They'll reveal it, talk more about it at E3. PSX makes sense to do there, but again, I'll reemphasize this. We're in the end game regarding this console gen, and they're going to kind of ride it out. Honestly, I'd set your expectations low for their next E3. I really would.
Yeah, because they're kind of in this point where if they announce anything new, it's clearly they'll have a messaging issue where, is this PS4? Is this PS5? Where
right. Exactly.
They're in this situation, and I think we'll get into it more when we talk about XO18. But I think Xbox is kind of in the same situation where we're not going to see a whole lot of announcements. I could be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong. But we're seeing more of a focus on what's going to be fired. Because I honestly feel like with PlayStation and Xbox, I feel like they're going to hit the ground running next gen. There isn't going to be this lack and sputter at the start of the gen like we did in 2013.
Yeah, I don't think.
I certainly hope not, because honestly, that sputter was third parties picked up the slack. But let's be honest, the first parties weren't really rolling. Oh, I mean, they were terrible on the Microsoft side. They were non-existent on Sony's side. So, like, I really hope we don't have a repeat of that.
Yeah, I really want to see them both come out swinging for the fences and fighting for people's money right off the hop. And I think they will.
Exactly.
But it's a shame about PSX.
It's a shame they couldn't do any dev live streams or, dev talks, things like, just get the fans together.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing for me. I was like, you could still I still feel like even if you weren't going to do any major announcements, if they had held like a fan get together or something, or even if they wanted to scrap the PSX name and call it something else that's more fan service than anything, they still would have been able to soften the blow. Like, I don't think anyone should be taking shots at them for not hosting PSX if they don't feel they have the content for it. I think that's a very smart approach.
Sure.
But it is what it is, unfortunately. And then we got the twist in news is that there's no PSX this year, but Xbox is hosting an event.
Yeah, I got some thoughts on that one. Like, I got some ideas I want to speculate about the reason why it's happening in the first place. But yeah, I'll let you continue on. This has been on my mind for a long time since they announced it.
All right, so actually, you know what, Jared? I'm gonna let you kick this off. You kick this off, and me and Sam will follow in behind.
Okay. So, like, we Xbox fans have always been watching that fan dedicated service, like a show where, like, inside Xbox, we're updating on information and special announcements and all that kind of fun stuff, which they've been slowly working on. It's definitely been a much better show ever since it first started back up. But like, why all of a sudden is the XO18 announced? Is there a specific reason why? Like, yeah, it's cool. It's a fan service announcement and specific event, but wasn't Inside Xbox originally like intended for that sort of thing? Like, I think they have something up their sleeve for this event. I'm putting my conspiracy hat on right now, and I am going to say that I think they're going to announce the next Xbox officially at XO18. And yeah, I think they want to get ahead of the ball on this one against PlayStation finally for next generation.
I mean, you weren't lying. You're putting the conspiracy hat on.
I know. That's why I said, like, hold on here. But, like, I don't know. I think there isn't really a specific need for it right now for this time of year. But then again, I don't know. I don't know. I think it could be a good thing that they're doing it. I also think it could be a bad thing because for people like me, get my expectations up and all that sort of thing, my conspiracy hats on, and then it happens and go, oh, it's basically just an Inside Xbox, but at a actual event. Well, that sucks. So I want to know what you guys think on that one.
Nick?
I'll go over this quickly, just to give people an idea what XO18 is going to be. So this is sourced directly from the article that Sam wrote. So on Inside Xbox, Phil Spencer confirmed that the XO event is coming back. This year event is called XO18, will air live on November 10th, 2018. Phil Spencer also stated that the event would include third-party and first-party announcements. He cited fan feedback as a key reason to the event was returning. XO was a big Xbox fan event in years past. However, it's been several years since it was last held. The Microsoft acquisition of Rare was the last announcement at XO. Mm-hmm. And there's also...
No. It was not the last big announcement. It was just an example.
Okay. And other announcements that were at the XO event were Halo 2, I believe. Or some of the other ones.
Halo Wars. Halo Wars was revealed there. And the GTA 4 DLC that was 360 exclusive because Rockstar was having financial problems. Yeah, that's hard to believe, right? Rockstar having financial problems.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, but there was a time. And so Microsoft funded the DLC and got it exclusive as a result. That was announced there as well.
That was part of that old Pierre Moore wizardry too, I'm pretty sure. That good old Moore witchcraft of throwing money at it until it happens. Sam, I'll let you give your thought. I'll go last on this. What are your thoughts on XO18 making a return?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about this on Tick Podcast last night, and my thoughts really haven't changed since then. I think it's good. Okay, so first off, let me just be clear here. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing. Microsoft and Xbox in particular are listening. They're listening to what we want. That we said for the longest time, Xbox fans said, hey, can we have like a regular show, a regular thing that gives us insight? That's what Inside Xbox was born out of. It wasn't supposed to be a Nintendo Direct. It was supposed to be a, hey, here's what's happening. And that's okay. That's all it was really supposed to be. But Inside Xbox was big. It used to be a mini E3 for them before Gamescom was. Because we all remember the days where Gamescom used to be their second E3. But a lot of people don't remember that it was never Gamescom. There was years they didn't go to Gamescom. It was XO in the older day. That was their big thing. In the early days of the OG Xbox and even the late days in the early days of the 360, XO was the big event, not only for fans, but for devs to watch, for big announcements to happen, things like that. So I don't think it's a coincidence that this is happening. I really don't. I don't think it's going to be on par with their E3 conference earlier this year, simply because, we all agree that conference was stellar. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was good.
They did an amazing job with that. So I don't think it's going to be quite that crazy, but I definitely see it being hey, here's the next 6 to 8 months. A Crackdown 3 blowout. That game has been secret in terms of what's going on, bar some Terry Crews yelling, for long enough. Show us the gameplay, show us the destruction, show the multiplayer, all that craziness. Below and Ashen still need release dates. Give them some release dates. Gears is huge in Latin America, and the event is being held in Mexico City. So I imagine Gears 5 and Gears Tactics will make appearances. I really do. I think we'll probably get some new gameplay from them, which would be fantastic. I would love to see that kind of thing. Ori and the Will of the Wisp might get a release date. That's supposed to be, first half of next year or something like that for 2018. So, for 2019. So that would be pretty cool to get. And I think I'm going more out on a limb here. Those are all the things that I think are very safe in terms of happening. I'm 99 to 100% am sure on all that stuff. I'm a little more unsure here, but I think that they've got someone else for Microsoft Studios. I think 1 or 2 more devs will be joining the Microsoft Studios family, and they'll be announcing that. That'll be a big deal because Phil made a point of specifically saying that we announced the Rare acquisition. But here's the thing, and this threw me off at the time, and it's thrown some other people off now, because that was not the last big announcement. That was one of the earliest big announcements. A much more relevant example, and if he was talking about the last XOs, would have been to talk about Alan Wake, or to talk about Halo Wars, or to talk about the GTA 4 DLC. He chose that example on purpose. And I think, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think it speaks volumes. And the last thing is more of a hope. But here's the thing, guys. Playground Games is working on a second RPG in secret at their second studio. We all know what it is. We all know Eurogamer blew it open. Clobriel blew it open. Plenty of other people have verified it with independent sources and secret sources. We know the game that is being made there. Pull a Bethesda and just say, okay, you got us, here it is. Just a 30-second clip of, yep, it's Fable, it exists, it's a game, we'll talk to you later.
That's all. Nice.
No platforms, don't even mention platforms. Don't say anything. Don't say it's coming to current gen consoles. If it's not, it's not. If it's cross-gen, it's cross-gen. If it's next-gen only, it's whatever. Just say, the game exists. Please stop bugging us. I'm a little more unsure about that, but I think it would be a really good idea. I really do. Anyways, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I'll co-sign all the stuff. All your safe bets are safe bets for sure. Like seeing more release dates, Ashen Below, Tunic. I will repeatedly say Tunic because people can clown me to the end of time, but I'm so excited for that.
It looks so good. I'm excited for that one, dude. Because that's pure Zelda vibes. That's pure old school, legit Zelda vibe. And if you're an old school gamer, how can you not want to play that game?
Like I said, people can clown me the end of time, but I'm so excited for that game.
Me too, man.
But I'm going to put this on record, and if I'm right, you'll see me doing a happy dance in November. But I'm going to put my metaphorical ball in the court, and I'm going to say that the Obsidian acquisition will be announced at XO18.
Oh boy.
Okay, so you're going to get more specific than me then. Not just
I will throw my ball into the court and say that Obsidian will be joining Microsoft Studios at XO18. And this one's more of a hope and a prayer because the studio really deserves it. But I really hope they announce that some form of partnership with Studio MDHR.
I agree. They deserve it. After the hard work they went through and the fact that Cuphead has gone triple platinum. And in the barren year for Xbox that was 2017, Cuphead was the shining beacon. It really was. It was a fantastic game. It was a much-needed breath of fresh air. It's a small team. It's like less than 30 devs, right? Even with the hiring that they've done. So, yeah. Even if they're not going to acquire them, although I would love to see them as part of Microsoft Studios, some sort of multi-game partnership to secure them financially.
That'd be nice.
I will agree with that, Nick. That'd be nice to see. That's definitely more of a hope and a prayer, though, for them, because correct me if I'm wrong, but unlike Obsidian, there hasn't really been a lot of evidence.
Yeah,
right.
There's been the reason I'm calling the Obsidian buyout is happening is because Clubrio did that leak on Reset Era saying there was an acquisition form, but wasn't signed by anyone at Microsoft, but was signed by Obsidian's higher ups. There is no secret in the industry that Obsidian is in financial trouble. They had to kickstart, I think, their last 2 games or their last game. So they're struggling, but they're quality developers. They've put out well-made RPGs that people love. They made one of the best RPG style Fallout games that we have seen. I mean, core mechanics RPGs since the old school ones back in Fallout, like the original Fallout. And I think it makes sense because a lot of us called that Microsoft needed to have more RPG. They need more RPGs. There was a sad lack of RPGs in their catalog. Obsidian makes good RPGs. Playground has unimaginable talent that if they can translate that into RPG scenarios, then they're going to be great. And I think I hope that Obsidian's announced as an acquisition, just because I think that rounds out their catalog and they don't need to buy up any more studios after that. I just think they need one.
After that, they can sort of grow them internally, is what you're saying.
Which they're definitely doing. Like with all the hires, was it 500 people, 400 people?
Yeah,
I mean, we don't actually have a hard number, contrary to popular belief, but they're hiring a ton.
Lots of people,
they're hiring a ton. Let's put it like that.
Yeah,
like you
nuts.
Go look up how many people Playground Games is hiring right now.
Okay, 117, I think it was right now.
No, think bigger.
It's 184 last time me and Sam checked.
Really? Whew.
181 to 184, something like that. Yeah. That's crazy. And that's with nearly 200 people at their first studio and about 60 people at their second studio already. So when they're done hiring, they're going to have almost 500 people between their 2 teams.
Ninja Theory's hiring, Compulsion's hiring, Coalition is still on a hiring spree.
They were offering to help out some of the Telltale devs, right? When they saw everything happening there, they said they were going to be opening up some positions for them.
You know what? I have my criticisms about We Happy Few, but I think with a bigger team and a little bit more focus, they could really turn out a really good game.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of my big thing for XO18. I hate talking hardware. If you play on console, the hardware is like the last thing you should ever have to worry about.
We're not going to see hardware. We're not going to, and we don't need to.
I sincerely hope that there's no hardware to show, because I'm going to make.
Well, they're going to do the mouse and keyboard. That's hardware, but that's not what you're talking about.
Okay, well, see, I want to clarify. I think if they're going to spend a fair amount of time on mouse and keyboard support and the games that are going to be coming, because the unique thing about the mouse and keyboard support announcement is that Razer announced that there will be more details coming, and that there will be a large. It wasn't stated in the Microsoft press release, but in Razer's press release, they said there was a large amount of games that they were going to be debuting and demoing using Razer's new hardware. And Razer is set to announce new hardware in November which correlates with XO18. So you're going to see probably a Razer presentation on stage of mouse and keyboard and some games that are getting mouse and keyboard support. I think there's going to be some PC games coming across to Xbox. They're going to require a mouse and keyboard.
Agreed.
That would be pretty substantial.
Yeah, it would, because that gives them a lot of third-party exclusives by default.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That gives them some stuff like games, and I mentioned this last night on Tick Podcast, like Frostpunk, for example.
Oh, I'd love to play Frostpunk.
Frostpunk is so good.
Oh, man.
So good. That would be pretty cool.
You know what? I would love to play Age of Empires Remastered on the Xbox, because
right.
That'd be perfect. The games like that, though, they would fit perfectly on the Xbox console, especially with the keyboard and mouse support.
And it's just kind of an interesting idea that mouse and keyboard support could come to Xbox, and to have a lot more PC games would be easier to port over to the system.
Definitely. Definitely.
Especially since, you've got Vermintide 2 on there. What's to stop other games from that developer coming across, right?
Yep. Exactly. Or even other games not necessarily in that genre, but like the Total War games, for example.
Yeah,
imagine perfect. Total War Warhammer or Total War 3 Kingdoms coming over to Xbox. That'd be pretty cool. I would double dip. You can guarantee that I would double dip to be able to do that kind of thing.
Well, definitely. Like just opening up the Xbox to more RTS games in general, let alone other PC-like games that, like Divinity Original Sin 2. That was mostly a PC game until they finally worked on it to come to console. But still, like games like that, they wouldn't really have to work very hard for a port, and just be like, okay, well, here's a quick one. We don't have to really switch the controls too much, and boom, done. There you go. It would, I think, definitely make more developers inclined to be like, oh, maybe we should focus on maybe putting it on Xbox as well.
Right.
And it'd be a smart business counter for Microsoft to use PC developers to get games on their platform through mouse and keyboard support when Sony has such good third-party support from Japan.
Dude, that's the exact thing I was thinking of. Just like Sony gets a lot of third-party exclusives by default that way, they could get a lot of third-party exclusives by default.
I think they'll probably end up demoing Black Desert Online probably at the XO event with the Razer keyboard and mouse setup. I think that'd be a great combo. That'd be a fantastic combo to say, here's the release date, here's when it's coming out, here's the package bundle you buy Black Desert Online with this set, or whatever you buy, the keyboard and mouse specific designed for Xbox, and you get Black Desert Online for free with this sort of thing, and that'd be perfect.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, because I love Razer hardware. Razer hardware is some of the best that you can buy in peripherals.
I've used it for years, and I won't turn to anyone else. I love their stuff.
And I'm going to be interested to see what they can...
mouse that I'm using right now. I'm using...
I got the Death Adder and the Black Widow keyboard.
And they make great peripherals, and I'm interested to see what they can come up with the Xbox hardware team. Should be it should be an interesting partnership for sure.
Definitely.
So that kind of wraps up that topic. So we're gonna dabble, and we're gonna breeze through this. So Crossplay happened,
Woohoo!
And it broke Twitter for a couple of days.
No kidding.
So once again, I'll be using Sam's article. Over the past few months, Sony has received myriad of criticism for the lack of Fortnite cross-platform play on PlayStation, while PlayStation users can play with PC, and mobile players that are blocked from playing online with Switch and Xbox One users. Looks like this is changing as today, as a post on PlayStation blog confirms that Fortnite cross-platform play with other consoles is now in beta testing. So their direct quote is, following a comprehensive evaluation process, SIE, Sony International, SIE,
Sorry, Sony International Entertainment or Interactive Entertainment. Sorry,
Entertainment. Sorry, has identified a path towards supporting cross-platform features for select third-party content. We recognize that PS4 players have been eagerly awaiting an update, and we appreciate the community's continued patience as we have navigated through this issue to find a solution. Really interesting PR spin on that one.
It's just a beta, though.
The first step will be an open beta beginning today for Fortnite that will allow cross-platform gameplay, progression, and commerce across PS4, Android, iOS, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Microsoft Windows, Mac, and your toaster. We see the beta as an opportunity to thorough testing ensures cross-platform play is best on PlayStation while being mindful about the user experience from both a technical and a social perspective.
That is one way to announce it. I got to hand it to him. That is one way to announce it.
It's so funny that we went from a week and a half ago of we have no interest in crossplay because PlayStation's the best place to play to we
have crossplay. Woohoo!
Did we lose Nick for a moment?
I'm not sure.
I think we lost
quiet.
I think we lost him. Okay. Well, while we do, just really quickly, at the end of the day, that kind of announcement was going to come with PR speak, but I think you can agree with me, Jared, that it's kind of surprising it happened at all.
Yes.
And kudos to them for finally listening and finally caving on what the people wanted. We wanted cross progression. We wanted cross play. It only took the biggest game on the planet.
No kidding. And like continuous. Yeah, it was like continual harassment for weeks and weeks against them for Fortnite accounts
and writing articles and and the whole walking accounts debacle. But they finally did it, and Epic is working on a solution for people who had their accounts affected. So that is good.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing, though. We need to see this for other games. Let's not let up. Don't let up the pressure. Don't let up the pressure just because they've done it on this one. We need to see it for Destiny 2. We need to see it for other big games. We need to see it for Rocket League. Rocket League would be great for it.
I think they kind of already mostly do Rocket. The only ones left out is PlayStation and Xbox for Rocket League, but I think for how it was for Fortnite, it's the same thing with Rocket League. They're just waiting for PlayStation to say yes.
Yeah, because for those kinds of games, it's easy because they were designed around crossplay and cross-progression. So it's as simple as flipping a switch. Now, other games, it wasn't. For example, Bethesda is getting incorrectly blamed on Fallout 76, and people are saying, "Oh, well, you lied. You said you pushed Sony for crossplay, and then it's not going to have it." But that game was not designed. It wasn't designed. The tech was not built. The engine was certainly not built with crossplay in mind.
Yeah,
they're having to heavily modify that engine just to get it to work with multiplayer.
Not just that, but like the servers alone can only hold 12 people, not 100. Like Fortnite.
Exactly. So on top of that, it's like, why would Bethesda have designed the game around crossplay in cross progression, that kind of connectivity, if they were knowing all along that it's not going to support it? It's not going to support. Why would they have built it in? There wouldn't have been a point. So now that this has happened, I think they can go in a completely different direction. Now, moving forward, Bethesda should build their games in mind. Like, if it happens again, there's no excuse, right?
Yes.
In that case, it would be like, no, we got to call you out. But I'm not going to blame them for this. It's perfectly fine. It really is. And then on top of that, oh, hey, there you are, Nick.
Welcome back, Nick.
Sorry, apparently Sony unplugged my internet connection.
They took you out, man, and then just came for you.
My toaster decided to go rogue on me through
crossplay.
Oh
my god, okay.
We were just talking really quickly about how crossplay basically, just in summation, it was a great thing. Let's not let up. We need to keep the pressure on. We need to make sure it happens for Destiny 2, Rocket League, things like that. And we also talked about how it's going to be easy for Rocket League, just like it was easy for Fortnite to get this kind of thing because the game was designed around that. But people are incorrectly blaming Bethesda around Fallout 76 not having crossplay because they built the game with the idea that they wouldn't be allowed to have crossplay. So it's not the same thing.
Yep.
No, it's like, look, the big reason that crossplay happened was because Sony said no, and as market leader, they 100% can say no.
We don't need to.
And then Epic Games put the boot on the neck, and then rumor has it Take-Two Interactive put the boot on the neck, which means that they're probably, Red Dead Redemption 2 might be looking at crossplay down the line. I'm not going to say that's going to happen, but they may have an interest in it next gen for their titles. And Bethesda put the boot on the neck, and then they went, well, if these, and more developers than that, obviously smaller developers are also interested in crossplay, started putting the pressure on, and this is what we got from it. And it's all in all, it's a good thing. And the fact that they hint that there's more third-party support coming is good. So that means there could be more games going forward that have crossplay. Hopefully this becomes the standard.
That would be nice.
Because like I will always use this example. You look on Titanfall 2, usually about 2,000 to 3,000 people online on PS4 and about 1,000 to 2,000 on Xbox. Pretty hard to find a game on anything that isn't attrition. You combine those two player bases together, might be able to fill out some more lobbies than just I don't see a downside to it. I don't care who I'm playing against or anything along those lines. And
there's really no downside.
There's literally no downside. The only thing I'm always interested in is how they do like party chat and how you invite your friends via crossplay and things like that. That's something developers have to tackle.
Right. And, they'll have to work through that. That's fine. Let them work through it. Yeah. It really is worth working through, let them deal with that. The reality is the benefits vastly outweigh the negatives in almost every situation. I am hard pressed to think of any case where the benefits would not be or would be outweighed by the negatives. So, you know what? I'm glad this has happened. I'm very happy. Thank you, Sony, and thank you, Sean Layden. But we're going to keep up the pressure.
Yep.
That's my statement on it. And I want to see it happen for Destiny 2. I want to see it happen maybe even if not at launch, but down the line for Fallout 76. That would be great. Make it happen for Battlefield, Call of Duty, Red Dead Online.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be awesome. And you know what? I was actually talking about this with Eric and Jared when we were playing Destiny 2. You can have some fun console war outlets. Like, dude, so Nick, I know you don't like Destiny 2, but imagine this. Imagine they had an Xbox versus PS4 lobby for the Crucible. And for 2 weeks, that's all it was, like Xbox versus PS4. And whichever community won the most matches got like a green banner in victory or a blue banner in victory. That's fun stuff. You can give the communities some healthy outlets and bring them together in friendly rivalries instead of the nonsense we see dominating social media discourse these days.
See, I love the sounds of that because the community playlists would be absolutely popping for that. But all the people we see on social media, they'll just duck that. They'll hide offline like they always do, watching their Netflix and whatnot. Or they're going to spend another 350 hours in photo mode.
Oh, Lordy Lord.
I'm not picking on
any game is a 400-hour game as long as it's got photo mode, right?
Well, I can't. I don't know. I just like picking on guys that enjoy photo mode because I'm absolutely terrible at it.
Fair enough. I love photo mode, by the way. I think it should be a standard for practically all games.
So I think it should be a standard because I'm trying to remember the guy on Twitter, Sunni Legend. His GIFs and
legendary. Oh yeah, they're legendary. They're incredible.
Like, I'm so glad that PlayStation's completely embraced him and started sending him consoles and controllers. And
why not, right?
The dude's a legend. And, like, he's one of those people, like, I don't think other than saying thank you when people compliment his stuff, I've never seen him be involved in any form of shenanigans.
No, you don't. I mean, he's a PlayStation guy. And so, I mean, all he does is he makes it for PlayStation games. So that's all. But other than that, you would never know it. He's a cool dude from what I've seen.
Who's this?
his
Sunni Legend.
Oh yeah.
Talking about like the legendary.
Oh man, his GIF
makes.
art. Oh, it's fantastic. His GIFs that he makes of games is just wonderful.
Yeah, his GIFs are incredible. And
that's a peanut butter.
No.
Yeah, I think the absolute one. My favorite interaction was just after God of War launched, and he was posting all those amazing clips he got of God of War, and Corey Barlog found this guy's Twitter account, and he was like, "Why didn't anyone tell me about this guy before?" They sent him some cool stuff and whatnot, so that was awesome. But I don't know. I live for that kind of stuff on Twitter now. When you see people posting gameplay or anything like that, it's just awesome. It gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling. So to just kind of wrap up, there's been a lot of Red Dead information.
And there's more coming tomorrow with that new gameplay trailer.
I can't even comprehend that they have more. So there's been a lot of stuff that's been confirmed, leaked out, and everything else. And there's some mind-blowing stuff going on with this game. There's over 20 horse species.
That's insane.
There's over 20 horse species. There's over 200 wildlife species.
Yeah, that's truly incredible. And they have an ecosystem. They all interact appropriately according to how the animals behave. Like the alligators will stalk you from a distance and wait and float, and their eyes actually reflect and glow red if you shine a light on them, like they do in real life. It's mind-blowing. It really is.
Yeah, there's weapon degradation, which I'm not surprised. Be interested to see how they
you got to maintenance them, polish them up, and take care of them.
I'm interested to how they balance that, especially if they add that into the online portion. I love it.
Yeah.
19 guys gathered around a table trying to get the revolvers done. Jam.
Well, you gotta eat, you gotta sleep, you gotta shave, you gotta poop, you gotta take care of your horse, you gotta maintain your equipment, your clothing, you gotta hunt, you gotta skin them, you gotta tan the leather, you gotta do every single little thing that you would have to do in that time period as the actual gaming character. And you go, wow, that's pretty immersive, and not just immersive, but that's a lot of detail to put into a game as well. That's a lot of time to do things. So, oh man, they're just.
I was gonna say the one that
a lot of work.
The one thing that stuck out to me was a tweet series from Danny O'Dwyer, and he was talking about his time with the game. I had a random encounter with a stranger who was just hunting or whatever, and through this whole encounter, he's interacting and talking with this guy, and there's no gunplay being involved. There's no violence. It's him and his character and this guy interacting. They're talking. And through this whole animation is this guy's literally skinning the animal, and the parts that he's cutting are the parts that are coming off. And he walks it over to his horse, and literally it goes, realistically, the skin goes into the bag. He buttons down the flap, goes through the actual motion of buttoning down the flap.
Yeah.
Picking up the lantern. There's light sway, everything, and wind blows through, blows the grass. All these tiny, tiny details happening through this interaction. The guy just hops on his horse and goes away. Another one that Sam brought up to me was, this guy you save this guy on a road from bandits or whatever. And then half an hour later, you're in a town, and it turns out he owns a gun store, and he hooks you up with a free gun, and he remembers you for saving him, and things like that. This game is literally going to put every other open world game to shame.
Yes.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, it is. Well, maybe not Witcher 3, but
okay, Sam.
Simply, hey, wait a moment. Let me finish because you only got half of what I was going to say. Simply because. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to do for the environment and the interactive parts of these games and the AI what Witcher 3 did for the writing and the quest design.
No.
See,
like two halves of the whole picture. Does that make any sense?
yeah. See, the thing is if that's the only thing Red Dead still has me worried about, and like I've been slowly playing more of The Witcher 3. And the thing is, while playing through The Witcher 3, is the side quests are addictive because they have purpose and meaning, and they're either their own little interesting contained side stories that still culminate into the main story. I'm worried that Red Dead won't have that.
Right.
That's one aspect of The Witcher 3 that's absolutely astounding to me is how much what you do matters. And I'm worried that Red Dead won't tackle that because my biggest complaint with Rockstar games in general is their side activities and less. Like, if you play GTA 5 and you just go through the story missions, it's a great game. But if you start doing some of the side activities you have to do too, terrible.
Oh, man.
So I really hope they learn or at least watch what The Witcher did with side content. Went, this is good, this isn't good. I'm just hoping they've learned from their past mistakes. But they've had every Rockstar studio working on this game. This is literally probably going to be one of the biggest manpowers that's ever been put behind a game. Like I don't mean to sound hyperbolic about it, but hyperbolic. Jesus. This is literally probably going to be one of the biggest video games ever made.
It will be, yeah.
Easily. Like, I was just thinking, when Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, if you're to compare the two games for what they are, and their mass, their scope, their scale, their just everything, which one would turn out to be on top for RPG, for world detail? Like, man, even if the game, if Cyberpunk was to come out in 2020, both those games are more than generation defining in my eyes. Like, they're going to carry over into the next generation and further as being one of the games where you have to play in your years, no matter how old or how far down we end up getting in this technological era. You have to play those games. Like, they're on that type of a scale.
So just to give everyone an idea of the manpower that took that's going into Red Dead Redemption. There was an article by GameSpot back in 2013 where they asked main developer Benzies about if it took 1,000 people to develop GTA 5. He said it's probably more than that, much more. He said Rockstar North's headcount alone is 400 people.
Oh, man.
And they've had practically every studio working on this game for the past 4 years.
That's nuts. Like, yeah, like.
So you got in the credits for GTA 5, you've got Rockstar Games, you've got Rockstar North, you got Rockstar San Diego, Rockstar New England, Rockstar Leeds, Rockstar Toronto, Rockstar London, all in the credits for this. They have, I don't even know how many studios, but it's an astronomical amount of manpower. You're probably going to see that when this launches, they'll be like, yeah, we had like 2,000 people working on this game. And it's good. You would have to, for the level of detail they're claiming in this game, they would have to have that kind of manpower. And I know Sam's going to smack me for this, but I think it's unfair to compare Cyberpunk 2077 to Red Dead Redemption 2 in the simple reason of the manpower difference.
Sure. But I would provide a counterpoint. I would provide a counterpoint that the fact that we're making that distinction at all and we think the games can be compared says volumes about CD Projekt Red.
Precisely.
Oh, man, like they're
given the manpower difference. I think it makes a statement that they're even in the same category.
For sure.
Like, Cyberpunk to me is just that impressive, and like we've all seen the gameplay footage by now, I'm sure. The amount of attention and effort they put in the game is just insane. Like, and we still don't truly know how large the scope of the game is. Like, we really don't know how big it's bigger than The Witcher. I think, as we know, I think they said them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But even then, like, these two games, they're juggernauts, easily juggernauts. Like Red Dead Redemption 2, it's amazing that it's even coming out in a month. It's coming out in a month. We don't have much longer to wait to play this game, too. It's insane.
Yeah, and as Tommy pointed out in the chat, we haven't even seen anything about the multiplayer yet.
Yeah,
exactly. We don't know what Red Dead Online is going to be like.
And there's a beta.
No idea.
The beta's announced. We just don't know what it's going to be like, and we've been hit so quickly with all this Red Dead information from the announcement to the gameplay reveals, what it really is going to be like, and we're just amazed by the detail and everything like that. It's coming out really soon, and it's going online, and we're just like, whoa, almost reeling to know how much effort they're putting into this game, and how I think we're not prepared for the scope of this game just yet. I don't think anyone is truly prepared for this scope of game. It's going to hit us so hard. We're going to be like, wow, I don't know what to say, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's impressive. Just kind of summarize and wrap up the scale that some developers are already thinking in this point in time. Like, you see the scope and scale of Red Dead Redemption 2, Cyberpunk 2077, and even Beyond Good and Evil from Ubisoft, as Tommy brought up in the chat. Yeah. It's like those games, the sheer scope of these games and sheer scope of games like Starfield and what the next Elder Scrolls is going to bring, and just the sheer scope.
And Playground Games, their RPG that we like, what is that going to be like?
No kidding. Like, look at Forza Horizon 4, the quality detail of that game is. Imagine an RPG at that quality level. It's going to blow your freaking mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And what we're going to see in the... I just can't. I'm just so excited with all the games coming in next year. I can't even. I can't even. And how Rockstar's been... I love... how Rockstar's been dropping Red Dead information, because literally Rockstar, with their background and their catalog of games, they basically don't have to show anyone anything. They're just there day one. Like, people saw that. I remember when the first teaser image came out that Red Dead was getting a sequel, people were like, day one, take my money now, because we all know what Rockstar is going to bring.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Not just that, but when you've put in the work in your original titles too, right? Like, you've set that standard, like, hey, we can produce these type of games. Look out for our future ones, and you've got that fan base there that will always be loyal because you put that effort into it. So
yeah,
their work has paid off for sure, and it's going to continue paying off for them.
Still waiting for the day they show up on Sony's E3 stage. And that is a tie dunk, everybody.
My
No, I feel like I can officially and professionally dunk on him, seeing as every website in history dunked on him 2 weeks ago. I feel like I can officially do it publicly now.
That's fair.
I'm just like, I can hear the face palm in Sam's voice. He's just like, oh.
There's just moments I know when I start talking, I can just see Sam's hand raising to his face, going, "Oh no."
This was actually not one of those times. I just want to point that out. But no, it wasn't.
Okay.
That's good.
Let me add that to the list of things I'm allowed to do on air now. All right.
So now I just did. Now you got it.
All right. So we're going to wrap up here. I want to thank everyone that stopped by and checked out this episode. And for those that are listening later, hope you guys enjoyed the show. I've got a couple of announcements to do, but we'll get outros out of the way. So, Sam, where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's TOLBERT. Please follow me. I'm only 2 away from 400, and it's driving me crazy. Seriously, I just wanted to be an even number like that. That's all. Okay. So, no, seriously, and you can find me writing on TakeGamesNetwork.com. We've been covering the news. We cover opinion pieces. We got a ton of stuff going on there, reviews. And we're beginning a big event for October called the Witching Hour. And this is Jason's doing. That's Chico or Edge XL, if you catch him on Twitter. And that's his doing. And what this is it's an event where for every night, every day in October for that whole month, we're going to be dropping a horror review at night, or in the evening rather. And it's going to be different things. It could be a TV show, it could be a movie, it could be a game. As long as it's horror related, we're going to be doing these retro review type pieces. It could be things as recent as last year or earlier this year, or it could be things that released in the 1960s. And that's what's cool about it. It's very unpredictable. We're getting the whole team involved. And I've seen some of the pieces that are in the lineup. I'm working on a few myself. It's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to check out TakeGamesNetwork.com every evening for the latest piece in the Witching Hour.
Right on, right on. And Jared?
Well, everybody could find me on Twitter at RageVirus_X, also at TechGamesNetwork.com. That's all I really got.
All right, and I'm Undead3XVI. You can find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. You can also find all of my opinion pieces, articles, news, and whatnot on the InnerCircleGamesNetwork.com. And we've got a little bit of an announcement for this channel. I've got a new series I'm going to be starting here. It's probably going to start this week, hopefully this week. I've got my schedule's pretty tight this week, but I'm hoping. So make sure you're following me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. I will be making the Twitter announcement for tomorrow afternoon once I get home from work. So it's pretty exciting. It's going to be a new series. It's not going to affect the podcast at all. It's going to be completely separate as I try to branch out more content on my channel. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and that you're following me on Twitter so you can stay up to date on the latest news and information regarding content coming to this channel. We've got a lot of stuff planned. So I hope everyone enjoyed episode 25 of the Gaming Perspective podcast, and we will catch you all this Saturday with our Spider-Man spoiler cast. I hope to see everybody there, and I hope you guys have a fantastic week.